If you're a business owner looking to scale your text messaging outreach, then you already know how critical it is to choose the right platform. You pick the wrong one, and you're dealing with poor deliverability, messages going to spam filters, low reply rates, and little to no return on all of the effort that you put in. And after sending well over 1 million text messages per week across the clients that I work with, I can tell you this. In 2026, the two platforms you really need to understand are Twilio and iMessage. The green bubbles versus the blue bubbles. They might look similar on the surface, but they're built for completely different purposes. One is designed for broadcasting, and the other is designed for conversations. And choosing the right one depends entirely on what your business is trying to achieve. So in this video, I'm breaking down exactly how Twilio and iMessage compare, from use cases and pricing to setup, compliance, integrations, and performance, and helping you determine which one makes the most sense for your business this year. Let's get into it. Quadrant 1, purpose and use case. When you compare Twilio and iMessage side by side, the biggest mistake that people make is assuming that these two tools are trying to accomplish the same thing when they're not even playing the same sport. Twilio was built as infrastructure and as broadcasting. Think of it like a highway system for messages. You load up thousands of texts, hit send, and Twilio pushes them to the world. Its entire design is built around scale and reliability and volume. That's why big companies use it for promotions or alerts or reminders and anything that needs to reach a lot of people at once. It's a megaphone and a distribution engine. Twilio talks outwards, it talks to thousands of people. But iMessage couldn't be more different. It wasn't built for marketing, it wasn't built for campaigns, it wasn't built for automations at first. It was built for a communication channel from an iPhone user to an iPhone user, and it's a channel that feels much more natural. It's where people have real conversations, where real back and forth messages happen with the people that you care about. So when a business enters that environment, the message is treated differently. It's not treated as an alert, it's not treated as a mass text, but as something coming from a human being. That's why iMessage excels in the moments of your funnel where a reply is the difference between someone showing up or disappearing. So that could be when someone books an appointment, when you need them to confirm something, when you're following up after a sales call, when you're nudging someone to recover an abandoned cart on your website, when you're asking for a Google review, when you're warming up an old lead who still remembers who you are. Those moments don't need a megaphone, they need trust. And trust thrives inside of iMessage. If you zoom out, here's the entire quadrant in one sentence. Twilio is designed to talk to the many, whereas iMessage is designed to talk to the one. That distinction is everything, and it's also the reason that if you choose the wrong channel for the wrong purpose, you're gonna see your results just tank. Quadrant 2, pricing and cost models. The pricing difference between Twilio and iMessage makes perfect sense once you understand their purpose. Twilio prices like a utility. Every message, every segment, every 160 characters, every MMS or picture or video, and every call that you make, it all racks up usage. And because these messages ride on carrier networks, you're also dealing with carrier fees, compliance fees, throughput limits, and all of the guardrails that come with SMS. This model is perfect for broadcasting. You send a lot, well, you pay a lot. Or you send a little and you pay a little. Simple. iMessage flips that model entirely. When you use a platform like Sendblue, which is the first real iMessage tool for businesses, which by the way, I've linked in the comment section and the description section of this video, you don't pay per message. You pay per phone line. And each phone line lets you start a certain number of new conversations per day. But once you start that conversation, well, you get access to unlimited messaging back and forth, unlimited calling minutes, as many characters as you want in your texts, and high-res pictures and high-res videos for free. This is possible because the texts are sent through Apple's internet-based network and not the carrier networks like AT&T and T-Mobile. So if your texting outreach relies on a long, natural back and forth conversation with your leads, well, iMessage instantly becomes the favored solution here. The economics of iMessage reward you for being human and for having a conversation, and not for limiting how many messages your sales team can send. So here's the recap. Twilio charges for volume, but iMessage charges for connection. They're not just different pricing models, they're different philosophies. Quadrant 3, setup, compliance, and risk. Now let's talk about setup, because this is one of the biggest shockers for people comparing Twilio and iMessage for the first time. Twilio sits inside the carrier world, and the carrier world has rules. Before you send a single SMS at any meaningful scale, you have to register your business, register your campaigns, explain your use cases, submit sample messages, wait for approval, add mandatory opt-out language, and pray that your content doesn't trigger one of the carrier filters that blocks and throttles your traffic. It's not Twilio's fault, this is just the reality of sending messages through a telecom infrastructure. Carriers want to control spam and protect users and ensure that businesses sending high volumes are following the rules. And the end result is simple. Twilio requires compliance before communication. Now compare that to iMessage. iMessage doesn't live in the carrier world. It lives on Apple's private internet-based network, which is completely separate from the SMS ecosystem. That means there's no A2P forms, no campaign approvals, no waiting weeks to be verified, no forced reply stop to unsubscribe disclaimers, no carrier filters that's monitoring your keywords, and no sudden throttling because of message volume. As long as you're messaging warm leads, meaning people who already opted in or booked a call with you or showed some type of interest, iMessage just works instantly. This is why so many businesses make the switch. It's not just that iMessage feels more personal, it's actually that it removes a layer of friction from their workflow because they don't have to go through all of the A2P compliance things. With Twilio, compliance is the gateway, but with iMessage, the relationship is the gateway. And for most businesses, warm relationships are the only thing that they actually care about now anyway. Quadrant 4, CRM integration. So the next topic we have to explore is integrations and automations. Can I use this inside of any system or inside of any CRM? For Twilio, the answer has always been yes. Twilio integrations are everywhere in GoHighlevel and HubSpot and Close, Salesforce, Zapier, Make.com, and dozens of other platforms that rely on Twilio as their default SMS gateway. I mean, it's mature, it's stable, and it has a deep support across the entire software ecosystem. What's changed in 2026 is that iMessage is now just as integrated. Platforms like Sendblue allow you to add iMessage into any CRM that Twilio lets you text from. You could add it to your GoHighlevel account and send text back and forth with your leads like up on the screen here, or to your Close CRM account, or to your HubSpot account. And you could even add iMessage steps in all of your Zapier and Make.com workflows and so much more. There's really two main ways in which you'd be using iMessage inside of your CRM. The first way is manual one-to-one texting with your leads, which you could use this iPhone widget for inside of any CRM where you could send text, you could send videos, or you could send voice messages to your leads because we're using iMessage. And then there's the second way, which is the automated way, in which you could plug iMessage steps inside of any workflow or inside of any automation that you've already built out. This means the decision between Twilio and iMessage isn't which one can integrate with my CRM, because both can. The real decision becomes, where in my workflow should I use broadcasting and where should I use a conversation? Your CRM becomes the switching engine. Twilio handles mass campaigns and alerts and broadcasting messages, and iMessage handles follow-ups, nurturing, review requests, and anything where replies increase your outcome. Both tools are going to exist within the same ecosystem, they just serve very different jobs. Quadrant 5, performance and trust. Let's just say things as they are. We as consumers are completely overwhelmed nowadays. Every channel is starting to feel automated. Our emails, our SMSs, our DMs, our push notifications, everywhere that you look, businesses are using the same templates, the same timing, and the same automation sequences. And the result is quite simple. People are numb to marketing messages now. SMS in particular has become the home of spam. All of those political campaign texts, the fraud alerts, the shipping notifications, and the endless promotions. The green bubble that used to exist 5 years ago and the text that used to get open 5 years ago just don't carry that same weight anymore. Instead, it's starting to feel like the messaging version of an email spam folder. And this is exactly why iMessage stands out today, because people still trust blue bubbles. They still feel personal and they still feel like a conversation between humans. This isn't just a psychological advantage, it actually produces very measurable results in things like reply rates, or show up rates for appointments, or conversion rates on warm leads, even on engagement during nurturing sequences, or recovery rates on abandoned carts, completion rates for Google review requests, sometimes even responsiveness during onboardings. The moment your messages appears in a blue bubble instead of a green one, it just enters a different mental category. It becomes part of the important conversation section of someone's phone instead of the automated messaging section. And that's why in 2026, the biggest advantage iMessage provides isn't technical, it's actually quite social. Authenticity performs way better than any type of automation, and iMessage is the last channel where authenticity still lives. So, which platform is better in 2026? Neither, and both really. Twilio is the king of broadcasting, and iMessage is the king of sales conversations. Use Twilio when you need to broadcast and use iMessage when you need to build trust. But if you want the channel that breaks through the noise, if you want the channel that's actually going to get replies, if you want the channel that's going to increase show up rates, close deals faster, and nurtures humans instead of just blasting out communications, well then iMessage is becoming the #1 place to communicate in 2026. Because in a world full of automation, the brands that feel human are the brands that are going to win. The businesses that adopt iMessage first, which are the ones who start shifting their nurturing and their follow-ups and their reminders and their engagement into a channel that people actually respond to, are the ones that will outperform their competitors simply because they're communicating in a way that feels much more human. Now, because the SMS and iMessage channels are so different by nature, you might want some tips and tricks on how to write high-performing iMessage text for your business if you make that change. If that's the case, I got the video just for you. I'm gonna add it right here on screen so that you can check it out. And it's really gonna give you a good idea of top-performing SMS scripts that you could implement in your business right now to see a very big lift in responses and replies from your leads. So yeah, check that out right there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in there.